Hey, hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Ben from TIEXO. Hello, Harmeet. What's going on, man? And
Hey, what's up,
uh,
man? How you
oh,
doing?
doing good.
Thanks for inviting me out again.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. And then I think we have Lothar on from Grim Syndicate. Am I saying that right?
That is correct.
Nice to meet you. I know we've talked quite a bit back and forth, but it's nice to finally talk.
Likewise, glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so we're pretty good. We've got 4 out of 5 so far, and we're gonna go ahead and dive into this. So for those of you who don't know me, speaking right now, my name is Benjamin Thompson. I work with TXO. I'm the overall NFT janitor, I would say. So everything that's on our website, it's NFT related. I'm pretty much responsible for managing all that. I also create the social content for TXO. That real corporate voice that we have. That's me, and then I help with the creation of our graphic curation too. Alexandra, the artist of the Cryptonauts Academy, our first flagship collection. She's the artist that actually creates all of our graphics. TXO, again, if you guys aren't familiar with TXO, I know some of you guys in here are coming from the WoW server, from the One server, from the Backpack server. TXO is a data and aggregator hub. So we have NFT listings from about 20 different marketplaces and AMMs. We have data that covers NFT marketplaces, that covers NFTs, and we're in the middle of designing our dashboard 2.0. Which is going to have all kinds of statistics and data and reports available for you guys. That should be coming out sometime early 2023. TXO is also building a mobile application on SMS for the Saga phone for Solana Mobile. Of course, we're building an xNFT for Backpack. Not to toot my team's horn or anything, but quite frankly, it's one of the best on the platforms right now. If you haven't checked out our xNFT, please do. It gives you that same access, that same portal to NFTs through Backpack. So, we're really excited about that. Okay, so how the format of this will work is it's an AMA, right? It's a real relaxed interview session. We wanted to have a backpack themed episode today with Tristan, Backpack, xNFT builders that are building on Backpack. The questions will be centered around that for the most part. During this, we're also going to be giving out backpack invite codes. We've got NFTs from Jungle Cats. We've got NFTs from Sentries, from the Jelly Rascals project. No, not an 80 Sol Jelly Rascal, unfortunately. It's just a normal, it's going to be their Jelly Rascal, excuse me, going to be their Jelly Dogs or an Infected Rascals. We also have Best Friends to give away. We've got a couple Sentries, so this will be a good one, guys. Might see Tanvir. He's here in the chat. He's the other one that has that green T. He's going to be helping us out picking some of those winners. Okay, so I'm just going to go through as you guys are listed on my list and do the intros with you. So Grim Syndicate, could you just kind of introduce yourself? Tell us who's speaking for you guys today, and maybe a little bit about the xNFT that you've built.
Sure. Okay, so I'm Lothar, co-founder and CTO of Grim Syndicate. We started over a year ago now, so pretty long time ago. We are officially a global storytelling brand. We started with this group of little Grim Reapers, whose job is to take the souls that don't want to cross over and take them to where they belong across the knownverse. That is our part of our lore. But on a day-to-day basis, they work in an office environment and just chilling there, and so it's kind of we play with that. Being the CTO, I'm not the greatest telling the lore, but that's the gist of it. We also have a couple of other collections called Lurkers of the Abyss and Lord Dreams Workshop. We play between the three of them. Basically, we have a couple of videos out there that tell a bit of the story, but basically, the Grims generate Astra and are able to get ingredients, which they then use on Lordin's workshop to either upgrade their NFTs or summon demons or upgrade weapons for the demons, because the demons are part of a game that we're currently building called Abyss Walkers, which is currently, by the way, available for holders. We haven't really announced it yet, but it's kind of soft launched. So if you are a holder and want to play with us, feel free to join the Discord and you'll be able to play it. Now, regarding xNFTs, I personally have a personal background in mobile development, specifically on iOS development. Been building apps for maybe 10 years or so, ever since the iPhone came out. And basically, when I first saw what Backpack was about and xNFTs, it reminded me of when the iPhone came out with its App Store, and how everything exploded once that became available for developers. So we just had to get on board of that train. So initially, what we are doing is we already had a website, right, where you can interact with your NFTs and stake and go into field work and all those kind of stuff. So we are recoding that app as a native xNFT, so that it's an app there on Backpack. The first iteration of it is already available. It's been available like a couple of months ago already. We launched it before Breakpoint. And ideally, we would also love to have the game itself available inside of Backpack. The only issue with it, but also the good thing about Backpack, since it's open source, we already opened a ticket for it, because our game is meant to be played on a landscape view, and Backpack is portrait. And although you can open the window,
That's an interesting point. I hadn't came across that one yet.
yeah, and even though you can, at least on desktop, you can like pop out the window, right, and make it the whatever size you want, it's not like a great user experience, right, to have them manually do that. So the ticket that is created there is ability to, from within an xNFT, to be able to open the Backpack window in whatever size you need it. So hopefully, whenever that happens, we'll be able to put it in there. Our game is coded in JavaScript, so it shouldn't be an issue. It's a web game. So yeah, we're planning to launch that in every platform that we can, and hopefully in Backpack soon.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for that rundown. I actually learned a couple of things I didn't know about the project. And that just goes to show you how early Backpack is right now. Getting direct feedback from the builders on it. I mean, that portrait versus landscape mode. I mean, obviously in the mobile world, that's very important. So that's fascinating, actually.
Yeah, and it's interesting because none of the current wallets support it. I've been having conversations with the other ones as well. I won't mention them here. But yeah, none of them support that. So hopefully, since Backpack being open source, they're going to be the first one to do that, because I'm sure we're not the only ones who need it. I mean, when games start becoming more and more mainstream, quote unquote, on the Web3 world, most of the games run on landscape. Well, I don't know if most, but a lot of them run on landscape mode.
Yeah, definitely a good chunk do. I mean, a couple of the ones that I play run that way. Okay, well, hey, thanks for that intro. I'm going to go ahead and move on. We've got quite a few people on the docket today, but I'll definitely come back because I got a couple follow-up questions.
Yep.
All right, rolling right into it. I think Harmeet was the next one to join us, so I'll go ahead and ask you to hop on here. Harmeet, can you introduce GooseFX, give us just a brief rundown, and then let us know what kind of capabilities your xNFT has right now?
Sure, yeah, happy to. Hi guys, so I'm Harmeet. I work with the GooseFX project. We're essentially building a super app on Solana. So what that will entail is a full suite of applications that users can utilize on the Solana blockchain. That includes a DEX. We're launching perps very soon. We have an NFT marketplace, and we also have a revolutionary concentrated liquidity market maker known as single-sided liquidity pools. We also have our xNFT and are excited to be currently working on the SMS Saga app as well. So we're excited to incorporate Backpack as well as everything else in the ecosystem.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that rundown. You're the new liquidity pools. I just think are so fascinating. I know you went into detail in our last space quite a bit, but I just want to keep asking about those. Okay, I'll just go down to my the line now because I can't quite remember who came in. Sentries, you want to hop on here and give us an introduction on who's speaking and what kind of functionalities your xNFT has right now?
Yeah, 100%. Hey, thanks so much for having us on. This is Divide. I'm one of the co-founders and the project lead for Sentries on the account here. Sentries is a collection of 8,000 PFPs running the Solana blockchain, building infrastructure, running validators and RPC nodes, both for ourselves, our own project, as well as other projects as well, like Blocksmith Labs is a big partner of ours. So we're stoked to be here. I'm actually going to kick it over to 0x Nalik, who is the CTO of Sentries, and he'll tell us more about kind of why we built in Backpack and what we're doing over there.
Yeah, hey everybody, 0x Nalik here. I just want to second what Lothar said was when, when Backpack and xNFT came out, I got the same goosebumps with, like iPhone and App Store kind of thing, because you don't know what we can build yet, really, but it's giving a good base primitive for people to be like, all right, what happens when a wallet's native to like building in this space, and like the games or the ideas that you have that like are native to wallets rather than just a asset, monitor. So I think it's really exciting to see what people are already doing, and kudos to Backpack for putting their stand-up meetings in Backpack itself. I think that that's really sick. But currently, what we're doing with our xNFT is making sure that we're pioneers in the space, to make sure that we're building where everybody else is building and understanding what people need. We're making sure that our staking functionality is up front and center first and foremost. Make sure that we've got all the the feature set, and we're using cardinal staking. Make sure that we have that feature set in the xNFT, and then our ideas are to expand into the exploration of like validating in the blockchain itself, to use it as a educational portal, so people can interact and see, like when rewards are being done or when blocks are being produced, and kind of have that journey, and even expanding into like a future where the metaverse is a key part of that, because all of this exists on top of the blockchain. And I think the more people understand, the better users that we're going to have, and then the better user experience we'll have with that stuff. So we're excited to keep building and see as functionality expands. As Lothar pointed out, landscape mode's probably a big component of that. Being able to support additional features. So we're just excited to be building with everybody else in this space.
Yeah, you guys have a fascinating approach to it. It's been real exciting to see what people are building on this, and just completely painting a new picture on how we see applications. Okay, Tristan, I see that you joined in here. Hey, Tristan, welcome. Do you mind introducing yourself, kind of saying how you fit in with the Backpack crew, and then maybe tell me a little bit about what you guys have been working on this week, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for coming in to listen to us from the Backpack team and the Backpack builders, different xNFT builders. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tristan. I'm a co-founder of Backpack with Armani Ferrante. And the story of how this all began with the story of Solana. I was an early participant in the ecosystem, and at that time I was working with a lot of different ecosystem projects to sort of help them get off the ground, working with people like Maddie Tay at Solana, helping run the hackathons, and just pretty deep in the ecosystem when there really weren't that many different projects, and kind of everybody was in one Discord, and it was a pretty tight-knit community. And at that time, Armani was also working on Solana, and that's when we first met. And that relationship kind of flourished over the years of working together. And when Armani came to the point where he realized he was going to start his own thing, and that he was ready to kind of have the reins of what he was building, he reached out to me and he invited me to be a co-founder with him, which has been honestly an enormous blessing because I couldn't imagine anyone else that I would rather be doing this with. So that's a very summarized version of how we got here today.
When was that first discussion about creating Backpack?
I think like February.
February.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like February. Armani was already setting up some of the stuff for the company back then.
Yeah, and I see Armani has joined us. Feel free to request to speak if you want to hop in or add anything, Armani. Good to see you. Okay, what about the name Backpack itself? Was that something that was like from the very beginning, or did you guys just like come up with that along the way?
I mean, we had a lot of ideation around names, and just in general, Backpack has been the result of a ton of ideation in a product sense, in a naming sense. We went through various different product ideas initially before we hit on Backpack and xNFTs. And in the same way, we were trying to really find a name that resonated with us. And so we did a lot of experimentation with different things and wrote big lists and gave reasons why this was good and why that wasn't good. And Backpack was one of the early suggestions, and then over time, after looking at a lot of different things, we came back to it. I think there were a few things that resonated with us, which was, the memes. There was like backpack, like all the Dora stuff that sadly some of us may have grown up with. There was the whole concept of sort of everything fits in your backpack. It's not just your wallet. We wanted to expand this thought process around what can be contained within your Web3 wallet, and we thought Backpack might do a decent job encompassing that. There are a lot of other names. I mean, one that I liked super biasedly was Maui because I'm from Maui, so I was pushing on that one. And but eventually we came back to Backpack because it lined up with several of the values that we wanted to present to the world.
Oh man, I needed that laugh to get me going there. That's fascinating. That description you just gave of how a wallet can only contain a few things, however your backpack can hold everything that you need. I guess I haven't quite heard one of you guys say it that way, and that is just such a good analogy for backpack and what it represents for not only Solana but for the Web3 space. Okay, I see that we actually did have Solanart join. Solanart, whenever I got your message that you weren't going to be able to join us, I was like, that's 2 weeks in a row. That's real crappy. It makes me feel horrible as a human being. I'm joking. I made that last part up. But do you guys want to dive in here and do a quick introduction? Most of you guys probably know who Solanart is, of course, but do you just want to say, who's here representing you and what have you guys built as far as xNFT goes? So.
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, thank you for inviting us. And yeah, sorry, I think we had just misunderstood within the team about who will attend the space. And so I'm Wally, I'm the CEO of Solanart, and yeah, we wanted to join that space and talk about a backpack as well because we built a dApp on Backpack, and so yeah, I was really interested to go in that space and talk about it because I think it's a really interesting project that will change the way we see wallets basically, and I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of builders that will have the possibility to build their app within the wallet, and I think that's really great. That's a really really beautiful project, one of the best in Solana, in my opinion. So yeah, and we are planning to expand our application that we already have on it to make it in a way that you don't even need to go on our website anymore, that you can just handle everything from within the wallet, and yeah, I think that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you guys planning on building an SMS app as well for Saga, or is that something you're already working on?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? An SMS? What?
Yeah, are you guys building a mobile application for SMS for Solana Mobile as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes, it's something we are planning on. We started the first design of it, and I actually started to watch way more closely, like the code on it, and I haven't started building it, but it's in our plan. Yeah. I think it will be something quite big. So yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. All right, I saw that. So Releap had joined us at the beginning. They messaged us. Releap is also building an xNFT. They asked us if they could hop on. Of course. I don't know if this is William or not. That's who I have talked to at Releap. I'm going to go ahead and invite you to speak real quick.
Hey guys, it's Aaron from Really. So we're a music NFT platform on Backpack and also on Solana. So currently you can stream all the songs on Releap on the Backpack app. We're gonna expand our offerings, our product offerings, and we're gonna support other assets like video and images later in the year. But we're gonna focus more on social, so you'll be able to do all the social stuff within our Backpack app later next year.
That's awesome. I think maybe I heard you guys describe yourself as kind of like the Spotify of Web3. Would that be a fair assessment?
We're not trying to compete in terms of catalog because there's no way you can get more music than Spotify. So there's going to be some similarities to Spotify, but we're more on the social and obviously NFT creation and trading side of things.
Copy that. I understand. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. I'm glad that you found interest in this space. Let's see. We've got Armani, one of the co-founders of Backpack, in here. Request to speak, and I just added you.
While you bring him up, I just wanna give my thanks and appreciation to all these xNFT builders. Aaron, you guys at Releap, Solanart, GooseFX, Grim Syndicate, Sentries. I haven't checked yours out yet. I need to go take a look at it, but it's been really, really, really amazing to see so many strong builders from the ecosystem come and spend time with the platform that we're building, with these developer tools that we're building. And we're actually truly excited to have all of you here with us. So just a thank you from the Backpack team.
Yeah, thank you for that. And again, I'll also extend my thanks to everyone who's joining us today. Really appreciate you joining in these community events and help making Backpack into a bigger community.
And TIEXO, of course. Sorry.
Before you hopped on here, I said, not to toot the devs horns on the TIEXO team too much, but quite frankly, it's one of the best xNFTs on the app, and you gotta check it out if you haven't already. I mean, it's your portal to NFTs via Backpack. Hey, Armani, feel free to hop on here, guys. If you want to give a brief introduction of yourself and how you fit in with the Backpack team.
Sure, yeah. I just wanted to hop in and ask some questions to some folks, if that was okay. There's some new stuff that we're working on and wanted to prod some people's minds. Yes, for the audience. My name's Armani. I'm with Tristan, one of the co-founders of Backpack and Coral and the company. But maybe without talking about myself too much of it. One thing that us and the team are really focused on right now is so up until this point, everybody on this stage basically understands this concept of like xNFTs as like full stack decentralized like applications where you can take the UI, the last like missing like sensorable centralized component of Web3, or one of the last ones, one of the important ones at least, and decentralize it by making an xNFT. But one thing we're starting to really transition to, because we're doing our NFT collection, is this concept of xNFTs not as applications, but also xNFTs as digital collectibles. So if you are, instead of like an application developer, if you're like an artist, whether it's a one-of-one artist or a 10K collection or a musical artist, you can take your generative artwork and you can bind the application to the artwork itself. So when I open up my Backpack and I click on my Grim Syndicate, I don't see just the metadata view. I see the entire kind of like community hub or the holders chat or the staking site, or the marketplace, or the merch store or the game or whatever token gated experience you want to provide, which I think provides a ton of really exciting opportunities for NFTs to onboard like the next set of users into Web3, because it really lowers the barrier to entry for the entire kind of experience. You can imagine this like really seamless process of like waking up on Christmas morning, downloading a Backpack, opening it up, fiat on-ramping via Stripe, and then buying your NFT in Solana art, you could buy your Grim Syndicate right there, all without any friction, all inside of Backpack. And so xNFTs provide not just like the ability to decentralize applications and make this like decentralized Web3 OS. There's also a lot of like kind of exciting stuff we should chat about, like either on this space or after this space, in terms of like what the protocol is going to look like in the future. But I digress. Anyway, so I think there's a lot of really exciting stuff for 10K collections and other art, art creators to build stuff with xNFTs. In the context of music specifically, I'm particularly excited. I'm obviously excited about profile pics. We're doing a profile pic. It'll be like maybe the first example of like an xNFT as a digital collectible. But for music, it's really exciting because what we're able to do is we're able to take the concept of an album, right, where you have like an album cover, album cover artwork, and then when you click on the album, you actually play the music. And I think this is really it's a really exciting kind of abstraction with xNFTs. And was curious for the Releap team, like if you guys have spoken to like, I'm sure you've spoken to with a bunch of artists, but just kind of curious, like what the vibe and the sentiment and the thought process is when trying to onboard, musicians to Web3. And I think this is one particularly exciting way of doing it. And kind of the interesting thing about music is that, well, music is like, really it's been hard to like onboard musicians in Web3 because there hasn't really been a medium for them to do it in a way that made sense. For like visual artwork, profile pics just make a ton of sense, right? Something you can easily buy and sell and trade. It's something you can easily put on Twitter. But for music, you can't really do any of that. So instead of like, making like or bringing NFTs to music, I think it makes a lot of sense to do it the other way around, to bring musicians to like profile pic collections where you embed the music into the xNFT itself and into something like Releap, and where you can buy it and sell it. But anyway, enough with my ramble. Curious, like, kind of what your thoughts are on all of this, and what, like, your conversations with, like, artists have been like, kind of as you've done kind of like, exploration of the space.
No, I think that's amazing. I mean, I'm glad that you did join in to help lead the conversation down a more technical path. I'm a layman. I'm an NFT degen. I'm not a developer, so that's perfect. Thanks for hopping on. And that leads me honestly right into my kind of the first set of questions I had for you guys, that I had for Tristan planned originally. But before that, we will go ahead and drop a couple of these codes. By the way, guys, the gifts from the Christmas gift away and then the codes for the backpack, I'll get all that stuff sent out afterwards. I have one of our moderators that's helping me put the list together and manage that. As soon as I hop off this space, I will start reaching out to all of you guys. I don't want to make any mistakes while I'm on the floor. But the first three winners are going to be AJ on Sol 3. That's for a backpack code. We've got Razvan Sisk for a backpack code. And then for our first Sentries NFT, it is going to be Wekin, Wekin, Wekin. I'm not sure how to pronounce that exactly. So congrats, guys. And like I said, we're keeping a running list of these, and I'll reach out to you after the space.
I just
okay.
Can I hop in real quick, because I think Armani hit on something that I really am passionate about, and interested in what creators are doing in the space, and it's
let's hear it.
How expansive you can make NFTs now, right? Like, it's not just your profile picture; it's you go into this xNFT, and like, you can customize your character. You can, their layout, their living room, where they're stored, like their feature rich experience that you can now kind of cultivate and imagine. I think that's where, like, it's not just these, like these one of one like art assets. It's now like a really rich environment that, like, you can have multimedia, you can have all these like different experiences that then like expands what an artist can create and like what people can do and interact with. And I think that's really exciting. And I just wanted to like highlight on that like it doesn't stop with these like profile pictures. It, like you can kind of do everything. So I'm really excited for that too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, even with communication protocols, right? I saw that somebody's trying to build a like an instant messaging app in Backpack. You know, I mean, that kind of thing is just going to make this Web3 world that much more connected. So diving right into some of the questions that I had. So Tristan, Armani, you know, you guys are giving demonstrations of Backpack. You guys are going on podcasts like Armani. I just listened to your podcast a couple days ago. What is, you know, while we have this floor full of NFT builder or xNFT builders, what is something that, you know, when you guys are giving these demonstrations that people are asking questions about most commonly? Like, what is something that the xNFT builders or, you know, or the developers working on Backpack, like, what's a pain point that, you know, you would like assistance on from the community? And that's just kind of a general question to Tristan and Armani.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So what would we like from the community? I mean, we would like everyone to try Backpack and give it a good shot and see if it's something that resonates with them, and then give us feedback on why it did or why it didn't. Obviously, that's a little bit more complicated right now because it's gated behind the beta codes. But once it goes public, the hope there would be that the community comes on, gives it a try, sees all the different applications that are being built by different amazing teams, sees the things that us as the Backpack Coral team are building ourselves, and then again gives us this feedback loop so we can improve it.
Yeah, maybe riffing on this. I think there's two things that I'd be interested on feedback from the community, kind of from like the development side of things. So the first thing is gaming. I think gaming is one of those verticals that like everybody talks about, but hasn't really taken off yet in Web3. And like, you know, you know, I've talked with Tristan a bunch about this, and we both just like wholeheartedly agree that games are just like the most, like one of the most exciting things, and like a simple thing that you can do, right? It's just like take all of like the mobile games or like addicting games, a small kind of mini games, and like, you know, turn them into Web3 games in some way, shape, or form, right? And this is like an effort that I haven't, like there's some like good teams that are working on this, but I would like to see more teams working on this, both on like the protocol side, but also on the xNFT side. And building, the hard part really is like building systems around this, right? Building in-game economies that make sense. And this is something I would like to see people explore more, because I think it has the potential to be like, people like throw around the term meta a lot, but I really do think it has to like, or it has the potential to do that. So gaming is like a whole rabbit hole. The second kind of thing, which is something that we are going to do ourselves, but also something we just like kind of want, that's just like valuable for others to work on, is just like this whole conversation about mobile and Saga. I think there's a lot of mobile primitives that have yet to be built that will be important. A good example of this is just like more wallet integrations into the Saga SDKs, like the ability to sign transactions for like EVM chains or other chains, because like this, I think like Saga has the potential to be like one of the most like exciting things in Web3, and it should really be like, it shouldn't be like a maxi product, right? It should really be like something that every chain embraces. And if we have these SDKs for every chain, then like xNFTs and Backpack are just like that much more powerful, because like we get a lot of inbound from other chains that are all excited about xNFTs, because everybody like, especially the people that really embrace decentralization, like a lot of the Ethereum folks that I'll speak to are like all really excited about xNFTs because they just get it. They understand how important it is to have decentralized front ends and to have it in like kind of like a coherent kind of UX. And so like the whole like mobile stack is something I'm excited about. A lot of our development efforts have been on React Native recently. So the goal is that you just write your React Native app or your React Native xNFT. And other than like xNFT specific APIs, like we're going to have some like navigation APIs and file system APIs and some xNFT specific stuff. But other than that, the app should just like work one-to-one on like Saga or iOS or on Backpack. So I think that's like a whole area of development that like needs some more love.
Yeah, there was a lot of chatter between some xNFT projects that we talked to last week about that move, you know, to being React Native, and about how powerful and you know, positive a move that is.
Hello, can I
Hydro, did you want to have a question that you wanted to pop in here with?
Yeah. So I actually am going to specifically refer to Armani and the Backpack team. So, there's this general understanding I have that good products tend not to be built because of funding. So, you don't basically always see innovations in the field of health because funding is not that easily attained there. And with current macro circumstances in the world and the fallout from SBF and the Solana ecosystem, we can see liquidity drying out of the ecosystem. And one thing I get worried about is developers sticking around because developers tend to move where the money is. The Backpack team has built an incredibly great product, but I'm more concerned about the runway. What's the runway left in terms of real physical funds, accessible funds, not fungible tokens, that can enable the team build out this great product over a long period of time? Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, I don't know what like the general protocol is for like answering questions like that. It seems kind of like a strange thing to share publicly. But yeah, I mean to be like totally like clear, like we have plenty of runway for we're not going anywhere. Nothing's going to stop us from building. And we're generally like really excited, irrespective of kind of like the macro environment. I've been through like several crypto bear cycles at this point, and this one I mean, it hurts, it sucks, but it feels no different, and yeah, nothing's gonna stop us.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that question. I'm sure that's a good feel good information for the people that are in the room. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, feel free, just request to speak. Please keep it in the scope of Backpack, xNFTs, and then the builders that are in the room. And then if you want to comment, on the post, I'll try to read those as well. Before we hop into the next round, I'll go ahead and announce a couple more winners. We have username 1or29. We have username Tythol. We have username Slappin' Yams, and then we have username Antonio J.A. Smith. And that is a nice grouping of names, if I do say so myself. Okay, so along that same line, this question's back to the Backpack team as well. Along that same line of the last question, whenever you guys are demoing to people that haven't been introduced to Backpack before, like, is there a common question that they have? Is there like something that maybe they don't understand, during the demo, or is there something that again, us as xNFT builders can be working towards to just help the overall movement?
Okay, I have seen a thing a few times here. I mean, Armani has a different perspective, but one question we've gotten a good bit of is, why are you building sort of this additional medium of distribution or of applications for people? Aren't there enough out there already? Like, for example, when we were talking to people about the xNFT collectibles, and they asked, we already have Discord and we have Telegram and we have Twitter. Why does it make sense for us to manage sort of an additional channel or an additional application? And I think there's a few answers to this. I mean, one of them is what Armani said earlier, which is, now, for example, on the xNFT collectible side, you no longer need the whole contextual mapping of that NFT project's ecosystem to be up to date with what's happening. So what I mean by that is, if you're somebody who's just entering the space and you go and you buy an NFT, you still have to follow that NFT project's Twitter, the founder's Twitter. You should probably be in the Discord. You have to have all these different pieces of contextual knowledge that allow you to get an overlapping picture of what's actually happening with the project. While in this case, now you can buy an NFT and you can click through that NFT into that entire contextual map without having to go on sort of this treasure hunt of finding all the pieces so you have all the information. So that's one thing. It's a reduction of friction of onboarding because the contextual mapping is all brought into one place. Same thing goes for the decentralized applications. You can imagine that before, you have to have all this context of what Twitter accounts are real for the different projects, what websites are real, am I in the real website or am I going to get phished, and yada yada, and so on and so forth. In this case, there's now one app store through which you can arrive, you can look at all the decentralized applications, you can add the ones that you think make sense, and then you can dive in and use them directly in your wallet. So that's one side of this. And then the other side is that actually the beauty of this is you have this financial layer built in the same place that you have these applications and these XNFT collectibles. So now you can actually start creating interesting interactions, such as you can imagine in the holders chat, you're talking to somebody and boom, you can just spin up a P2P OTC sort of like NFT trade, or there's a mint happening and somebody could drop the mint in the holders chat and you just mint in there directly. And then boom, it shows what NFT you minted, and it makes all these different things that we do at such a financial level also be social, also be interactive, also be community driven. And I think these are sort of the reasons that we feel so excited for what we're building, even if it does require, in some senses, either building something new for projects or acquiring further context for users.
Yeah, maybe to riff on this from like a different perspective, maybe from like a little lower level perspective rather than like the higher level product perspective. What XNFTs really are is they're really just a new file format for creating like real estate on Web3. And so, what do I mean by that? If you look at like Web2, right? Web2 basically started, or what just the internet itself started from HTML files and linking. And so you had this like rich web of websites, right? Anybody can spin up their own site, and anybody can like link from one website to another website, and you can like traverse this kind of like infinite graph of the internet, right? And XNFTs are really a protocol to do the exact same thing, but in a decentralized way, and doing it on using blockchains and using decentralized storage. So you have the ability to create one XNFT, but then you can traverse the entire graph and map out the entire land of Web3 by going from one XNFT to another XNFT. And of course, this normally comes in the form of applications, right? So I might be on like Solanart, right? But Solanart, I might buy a Grim Syndicate, right? And then, I might use the navigation API to go from when I buy my Grim, to go from the Solanart XNFT to the Grim XNFT. And then when I'm inside the Grim XNFT, the Grim XNFT might have their entire community hub in there. And that community hub might consist of a bunch of things, right? It might have services like Twitter Spaces or chat, but then it also might have a game, right? So then when I enter the game, I go into the game XNFT. But that game might have some like embedded marketplace inside of it, right? And then I can use or some exchange, right? And then I can use that exchange, like if it's like Orca or something, to like trade. And then I could go in and out of all these kind of Web3 experiences. And so this is like maybe one more kind of like abstract analogy to use for like the entire system that's being built here. And it's kind of hard to see because like it's there's a lot of layers here, but this is ultimately kind of like what's happening, right? And what it ends up looking like to the user is, well, it ends up looking like normal kind of web experiences or normal application experiences, things that we're all used to, but with the entire like context, like Tristan was saying, mapped out, because everything's connected to each other. And why this makes a lot of sense from a technical level in crypto is that crypto is unique in that, well, it's everybody's sharing the same state. It's all the same database. It's all the same world, right? Everything is composable. And so it makes a lot of sense to be able to have XNFTs as a way to go in and out of different of the same kind of state, to go through like these different experiences. And so this is more of like like another way to like kind of another angle to look at the story, that I think, at least if you're familiar with like the inner workings of the web, might make more sense.
So you guys are dedicated to that experience of dedicated to giving users that experience they're used to in traditional Web2 apps. And then Tristan just mentioned just a little bit earlier about like the having trusted apps in a trust store, having a layer of curation there. Kind of jump to change subjects there a little bit. Solana Mobile and the Saga phone, that's a completely new concept, a blockchain-driven mobile device. Does Backpack and SMS have any kind of relationship now? For people like us that are Backpack maxis, I mean, can we look forward to a future, in Q1, Q2 of next year where a Saga phone comes preloaded with a Backpack app, or Is that something that that has been talked about at all?
Yeah, we
Maybe Backpack acting as the the de facto app store, Google Play Store equivalent to Saga.
Yeah, it's a matter of time. So it's a when, not if. We have a super strong relationship with the SMS team, and we've been like talking with them throughout the entire process. So the intention, we're not there yet, but the intention is that xNFTs, a certain class of xNFTs, will be like natively loadable on device for Saga. We're not there yet, and like other xNFTs like digital collectibles won't have that feature because they're like NFT profile pics. But things like TIEXO or Releap as they exist today, the intention is for them to be natively loadable. But yeah, we're just not there yet.
That's wonderful news. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's in this room to be happy to hear that. Solinar, I've got a question for you real quick. So, we've talked about, or Tristan and Armani have talked about this experience in Backpack. Solana art, honestly, Armani, you saying Solana art makes me question my entire world, because in my head, I have, from day one, called it Solanart, not Solana art. So maybe hop on here and correct me if I'm wrong also. But I was just curious with your guys' app, Solanart slash Solana art, you guys are notorious for collaborating with other projects, for forming partnerships with other projects. For example, your new one with RainFi this week with the NFT mortgages. Is that something that you guys see bringing to the xNFT world as well? All of these collaborations. So, for example, like, would you want to integrate that RainFi mortgage process through your Solanart xNFT? Or are you guys just mainly focused on keeping it a native platform for the marketplace right now?
For the first question, it's when we thought about it, it was Solanart as a whole word, not Solana art. But I've seen that a lot of people have their own way to say it. So we accept both. Actually, it's whatever is easier for the person. About your question, it's a really interesting question, and the goal is to open RainFi to as much platform as possible. Because we enable mortgage on it, but the main thing about it is that anybody can create their own pools with Sol in it, and then they can, their turn, allow mortgages from any of their website. The goal of Rain is to be integrated in any protocols, any project. For example, any website can integrate Rain. The integration we made on Solanart was a way to show what you can do with Rain. What we made with Solanart is totally doable by anyone else. Like it's one day of front end dev, and you can integrate it. So yeah, we will definitely have our own app with RainFi on the backpack on Backpack. Sorry. And eventually we will integrate it as well on Solanart, but any other marketplace can do the same and create their own pools and be their own bank, basically, because the whole concept of Rain was to bring lending, mortgage, and everything to everyone without them having to struggle by creating a whole program, that handle all of this. It's the Shopify of the loan, basically. You come and you create your own pool. That's the goal of it, and we are waiting to finish the audit of all the code, but after everything will be fully open source, and so the community will be able to bring their own feature to it and fix bugs or add new feature or everything. So yeah, the goal is really for everyone to use it. That's the whole purpose of it. So we don't want to be the bottleneck of it. Like it's that was my idea behind it when I created it. Yeah, and Solanart is an example of what you can do with it to leverage it, basically. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. And I asked that question because, that's what Backpack means to me, is this ultimate collaborative experience. I'm relatively new to the Web3 space. I'm about a year and a half in, and being a part of the Backpack Discord, being a part of, real life discussions, seeing all the spaces, the stand-ups that you guys have in the app, like it's it's really opened up my eyes to what collaboration can be, and especially like even talking to all of the XNFT builders that are in here and the relationships we've formed just around the subject of Backpack and XNFTs. That really resonates with me. So yeah, that's why I asked that question. So thanks for sharing. Okay, so I'll just open the floor real quick. Do you guys have any questions? Is there any questions from the floor? Please just raise your hand or request to speak. Yeah, Armani, of course, hop in there, man.
Yeah, I had a question for Grim Syndicate. Curious, like, what are the main token gated experiences that you guys are excited about in 2023?
That's funny. I also have my hand open because I had a question for you guys. But yeah, I mean, we ourselves are building games, so excited about that coming out, which will, of course, revolve all around NFTs. We are actively working on the economics of the game. To give a bit more context for anyone who doesn't know what the game is about, it's a tactical board/card game, which basically has a mix between Hearthstone and chess. So basically, you have a deck of cards which you will be able to customize. Of course, all the cards are going to be NFTs. So depending on which ones you have, it's the deck that you will have. Now, of course, we do also plan to make it a free-to-play game so that we can onboard as many people as we can. So you will initially get an airdrop of a standard deck, but you will then be able to improve the deck and change it and build as many decks as you want. So regarding that, you also you were talking earlier about how excited you were about games and creating more games and things like that. But speaking of which, now that you have moved towards React Native, at least on my previous mobile development experience, React Native is not the best for making games. So do you have any thoughts on how to go about that inside Backpack?
Yeah, so one big update to the protocol that we're making. I don't know if you've noticed in Discord, but we announced some migrations that we're doing to a new program. But a change we've made to the protocol is we've added this new manifest file, which the Metaplex token metadata points to. And this manifest file basically is a big update that will allow a bunch of different things. But one of the big things it will allow is multiple entry points into your xNFT based upon the platform. So if you're on web, you'll have one entry point. If you're on iOS, you can have another entry point. If you're on Android, you have another entry point. And so what this means is that, well, instead of just being an HTML file, you can have like a binary or your APK or whatever you want to use some on whatever platform. And so if you want to build like a mobile game that's like really fast and takes advantage of all the features of the native SDKs on the device, the goal is that you should be able to do that.
Oh, that's amazing. I lost that communication. Awesome. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this category that's like as we're like building the plane as it's flying, and so there's a ton of updates like this that we'll be announcing soon. But yeah, the goal is to be able to support all these platforms.
I was just curious. Do you know how many of your users have actually unstaked their NFTs, moved them to Backpack, and then staked through the application? Or is that something that's mainly more of a Sentries team member kind of experience right now? And then my secondary question to that is, are you guys noticing a demand from your community for like Backpack invite codes? Are they asking to use the xNFT? What's the demand look like for you guys?
Yeah, gotcha. I think to answer the first part of the question, with Backpack being in beta and by invite only, that certainly puts like a hampering on people being able to like access it. But at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
definitely.
right, like it like we definitely do see the demand for Backpack codes. I mean, people that are in the NFT community obviously see the extreme value in like what's being built here, and you know, like the opportunity to participate and, you know, to see the innovation that's happening. So like we do have that demand. As far as the staking goes, you know, it's a UI on top of the Cardinal staking contract, so it's not necessarily that you unstake and then you like bring it into you know, Backpack and have to do something different. So it would just be that you can manage your NFTs directly in there without actually having to visit the staking.sentries.io domain. You know, and I've been working with Cardinal to try to get you know, more features enabled within the Backpack ecosystem to make sure that you know, that all that stuff's working. So it's very much a work in progress to get everything to map up one-to-one right now. And we fully understood that moving into the xNFT development, that this was going to be something that like Armani said, building the plane as they're flying. So you know, and because we're developers ourselves, we understand how scrappy that can be. So we're actively working, you know, in it and updating the app as things come up. So it's very much a work in progress, and you know, the community certainly sees value. There's certain members that do, and I think like as we can expand that into more feature rich, you know, like token gating experiences where you know, like there's unique content for each NFT. So you know, maybe your Sentry, you go in, you've got a yellow background, and that yellow background persists through the application. Just those small things that I think like we pay attention to make sure that the experience is feature rich. Those are the things that like we're certainly working on at this point in time.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear that demand's there. I mean, I think you can just look across the ecosystem and see that there's something bubbling here for Backpack. You know, I mean, just about everybody involved in the space, definitely in the Solana space, is aware of and monitoring it. So that's really cool to hear. Hydro, did you have?
Ben, I have to
I don't want
drop.
to step on you, Tristan. Yeah, go ahead.
Ben, I have to drop, so I just wanted to say thank you so much for hosting the space. Again, thank you to all you guys that are building xNFTs. Anybody interested in building xNFTs, please do reach out to us. We're happy to help and talk with you guys. If you want some invite codes, shoot me some DMs. I can't promise everyone one, but I will be happy to give some out as well. So thank you, everyone that joined. Appreciate all of you. Aloha.
Yeah. Yeah, put your hands together for Tristan. Thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate that. And you just set the space on fire with that offer of whitelist codes. Undoubtedly, your DMs are gonna get filled up quick. Okay, well, hey Armani, I don't know if you're sticking around. I was getting towards the end. I think we had maybe 5-10 minutes left of content, or I mean, of things that I wanted to cover. So yeah, if you're game, I'm game.
No, I am. I'm totally game. I also
Awesome.
had a question, if I can interject.
Could we put a pause on that? Hydro's had his hand up for a little while.
Yeah, no
I'll go ahead
problem.
and
No
get him
problem.
worked in, and then rotate back over to you.
Okay, so I also just wanted to ask, do you see a future where you guys go cross chain or like expand to other chains as the saga continues?
Hashtag Team Aptos.
What was the question? Are we going multi-chain?
I think that was the general gist of it.
Yeah. So our approach to multi-chain is pretty simple, which is to say that like, well, we view that like if it makes no sense for there to be 10 different blockchains with 10 different extensions all doing the same thing using different networks. Like users are just going to use a single app or a single extension, and so wallets are just fundamentally a multi-chain product. And so yeah, multi-chain is kind of like table stakes for us. And so kind of our development approach to it is really just like build everything open source, try to build some good abstractions, and then like let anybody come and like hook into it. So we're not like fully there yet to where it's like easy to do that, but that's kind of the goal. So today we have Ethereum and Solana, so we support like any EVM chain. But yeah, very much the intention is to support every blockchain on the planet in the app.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, that's kind of what Backpack represents, right? Is this opening up the world, opening up the Web3 world to everyone. Yeah, that's a great question, Hydro. Okay, everybody. My final question is I just wanted to touch on the WoW One NFT project. And my question is, how does it feel to arguably be setting a new meta for tying an NFT project to an actual technical product? People in the space have always talked about, like utilizing an NFT mint to raise funds to create a project. Obviously you guys are kind of doing that uh, opposite. Who came up with that idea to tie an NFT project to this, like I said, real technical product that you guys are coming out with?
So, I mean, a lot of the motivation behind doing this NFT project is really to just like eat around cooking. So we're building all these primitives, but we really needed a tight feedback loop for development. It's really hard to build stuff in isolation, um, and so like while I was building Anchor, like I didn't just build Anchor for Solana randomly. I built it because I was building smart contracts, and I had trouble building those smart contracts. So I built Anchor so that I could build the smart contracts. And so we're really taking the same approach with NFTs and xNFTs. So that's like some of the moral motivation behind it. Now, with that said, like NFTs are also just like fun. Like, why not do an NFT? Like, everybody should do an NFT. I'm like a big believer that like, anybody, like any company or any artist, any musician, everybody's building community. And if you're building community, like, and that's like what the superpower of an NFT is. And so really excited about the project, really from all those perspectives. Um, but yeah, it definitely starts with, the one collection is really going to be the first example of an xNFT as a digital collectible. And so we're going to do all of our token gated experiences through it and hopefully use it as an example to help other teams that want to bring xNFTs to their collection on board. So it'll be open source. We'll show people how to do it, have some ability to do mints and stuff. With that said, we're not we're mostly just doing it as examples. So we're not like trying to compete with other teams. So if anybody like wants help, or kind of wants to learn how to do this type of stuff, definitely reach out. But that's kind of like some of the motivation behind this.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, yet again, just another effort to make the Web3 space more collaborative, bring everybody together. I think it's wonderful, and I think that's exactly why it resonates with everyone. Second thing, uh, the access code grind. Having the diffusion, or excuse me, I should know. I don't know if it's actually through diffusion. Having the AI generated image guesses. How did you guys come up with that? Was that just like a random discussion someday, and then it got turned into reality? Or was that like something that, somebody on the team had been like, bubbling in the background of their head? They're like, oh, this would be a cool way to do it. How did that integration get in there? Because I failed so many times, quite frankly.
Yeah, that was a combination of a bunch of things. Really, like the moral motivation behind it is that, okay, so when people are building NFT projects and they're doing this whole whitelist experience, um, you need to balance a bunch of different considerations when trying to like curate the community. And you see this phenomenon where like, okay, only like the big like Twitter accounts or like the famous people get the whitelists and they get all of them, and there's no like fairness involved. And so the moral motivation was like, well, we want to like make the NFT project as successful as possible because what's good for that is like good for everyone. But at the same time, we want to be fair, and so like our goal was really to provide like equal access to the project. And to try to like figure out some way of doing it so that even if you're like if you have a single follower, you can have some like fair way of getting an invite code. And so that was kind of like the motivation behind behind doing that. And then how we came up with the idea, well, that's just, I don't know, I think like there was like probably like a span of like a month where every other day like me and Tristan would just like randomly like message each other random stupid ideas, and then some of them we went with, some of them that we didn't, and then some came from folks on the team. And then the AI generated stuff was really just like in vogue at the time. We had we had like like Gajesh made this like stable diffusion xNFT, and and like AI Dolly was like going crazy at the time, and it was just like really in vogue. And then I don't remember who came up with the idea. It wasn't me, but somebody came up with the idea to like make a guessing game with stable diffusion and the animal noises and all that stuff, and it all kind of just happened organically out of that desire to like have fair games for anybody to that were like unbottable for anybody to get invite codes.
It was just so fun, and it continues to be fun. So, right, such a cool idea. I can't help but think that there's obviously going to be collections that are just going to rip you guys off for that method, no question. Can't believe it hasn't happened yet, to be honest. All right, so it's about 15 minutes after the hour, which means we've been on here for an hour and 15 minutes. When I started this series, kind of episode 2 of this AMA series, I told myself that I wanted to keep the episodes to around an hour. Because we had so many guests come on, so many xNFT builders come on, I think I messed that up on this planning. So I would like to open the floor up again. If anybody has any final AMA questions, I'm happy to stay on, happy to keep answering them. I'm sure our speakers are as well. But after those those final AMA questions come in, I think I'll go ahead and close this one down. But guys, open invite to the xNFT builders. I'll message all of you after this. I'd love to have you guys on again and talk more in depth about your actual application. No disrespect intended. We just kind of ran out of time. Okay, so just to recap, guys, we had on Armani still in the room. We had on Tristan. They're both co-founders of Backpack. They kind of gave us a little bit about their origin story. We've discussed about some of the difficulties of building and where they see the potential in the future. It sure seems like gaming is a constant conversation piece. I'm a personal gaming maxi. I believe that gaming is one of the biggest onboarding tools for Web3. It's one of the only things that keeps people coming back on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So I fully support that. And I'd love to work on that effort as well. We've given away 10 backpack codes. We've given away 5 NFTs. Guys, my moderators, they've been helping out with that. I've got a list of all of your usernames. I will reach out directly after this space. And if there aren't any other questions from the floor, any questions from the xNFT builders to Armani or Armani vice versa, I think we'll call it for today. And I'll see you guys again next week. All right. Well, hey, thank you all very much for joining. This has by far been one of the biggest spaces that TIEXO has ever hosted. Shout out to the Backpack team, xNFT builders, and every one of you. Love you guys. My name's Ben, and I will see you next Thursday. Bye.